Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we're looking at T1 energy. It is time for another update and nothing has really changed from a large time frame perspective on this chart, where we are still looking at an initial 5-wave move to the downside that can very easily be tracked here, where a wave B correction could already be in place. And to be clear, even though we are tracking this as an ABC structure, nothing is really stopping it from becoming a larger impulse either. And right now we haven't even broken yet the area of resistance up to $9, which is really all just suggesting that yes, this yellow interpretation assumes a wave B top could very easily be in place, where yes, we would have the 5-wave pattern complete within a wave C in this area, and we would be able to look for the trend continuation to new all-time lows to have already started. Now, nonetheless, even with all of this in place, we can still look for the reversal to higher prices. We can still look for a larger uptrend to have started from the current bottom we have on this chart. And we have even a couple of interpretations which would allow us to track such an expectation. So, firstly, I would be highlighting that we would be able to still extend higher within a 5-wave structure in this area. Because with the current developments, we would be able to consider this to have been a wave 3 top. Yeah, this wave 1 had a quite clearly defined A, B, C structure. Within the wave 3, we now have also the possibility to track a quite clearly defined A, B, C pattern. And as we quite clearly already started the follow-up correction, we can notice that we have pushed perfectly into the first level of support before creating this reaction to the upside. So this is one of our valid options to allow us to look for continuation to higher prices. We could technically already have a bottom in place within this expectation, and we would be looking to build an ABC structure within a wave 5. Now, keep in mind, until we break the $9 level, until we get a sustained break above the 78.6% retracement, there is still a lot of pressure from the larger time frame perspective, where this fifth wave is not necessary and the downtrend could already be ongoing. Now, within our other option to track a larger uptrend have started, we would be looking here at a 5-wave pattern to be complete. And to be honest, it's not necessarily the nicest 5-wave structure. Yeah, I would probably prefer to unfold a 5-wave pattern within the orange interpretation if we really are to form a larger uptrend, but we would still be able to identify also here a larger area of support at the levels between $4 down to $1.5. Keep in mind, for this expectation, we would be looking for quite a nice and healthy follow-up structure to the upside in at least another 5-wave move, but only from the area of support. So the minimum expectations strongly indicate that we would reach at least the 38.2% retracement before looking for the reversal to higher prices. And both these ideas were presented in the previous video, but we have had some interesting developments since, where in this downfall, in this movement that has so far formed to the downside that we would like to consider a correction, we actually can consider an initial 5-wave pattern that would be able to strongly suggest that after a 3-wave correction, we would be looking for at least another 5-wave pattern in trend continuation. Now, for this, we would have an internal area of resistance we would like to see broken that can provide an earlier signal that we would get a break even above the larger area of resistance as well. And we will show that in a moment, but before, I wanted to briefly remind you that if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed these roadmaps, leaving a like would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to keep up to date with our analysis with the various assets and different stocks that we cover on such a regular basis, subscribing might not be a bad idea. And yeah, we actually we post multiple videos every single day. And if you want to support us directly, you can check out our channel membership, and as a thank you for any of these actions, I want to even invite you to sign up for our channel newsletter where you get access to our monthly top picks where we identify for you high probability structures where you have clear levels of support and clear levels where the structure has failed. And the link for sign up is in the description and it is completely free. Yeah, literally doesn't cost you anything to join that. And getting back to the chart, once again, we have two areas of support. However, within the orange interpretation, I would strongly prefer to have a bottom already in place, just due to the proportions of what we would expect of this wave 2 correction, yeah? So within this wave 2, quite a small correction, not a very substantial one. Well, I would expect something somewhat similar in this wave 4. So that's just a point to keep in mind, that ideally within the orange interpretation, we would extend in a more direct fashion to higher prices, but I might still be able to track this expectation even if we fail and we get a reset of the current wave 4. So what I would be watching out for is the 78.6% retracement particularly, as this is the last level of resistance for such a structure, and this actually sits at $8.7. We so far haven't managed to reach this last level of resistance, but we have managed to create a three-wave pattern to the upside, meaning that we actually do not require any sort of extension to higher prices to consider this as a correction complete. Yeah, we are able to consider a top in place. We are able to look for the reset of this wave 4 in orange or for the wave 2 in white to actually be continuing, as within the white interpretation, once again, we would expect to reach at least $3.9. Yeah, let's say $4 before looking for the continuation, the reversal to higher prices. And perhaps within the smaller time frame, we can look for still one more high within this structure, as I would ideally prefer it. Yeah, we have here an A, B, C pattern we are tracking, and within the wave C, we are looking for an impulse in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But within this wave 4, it actually seems we have retraced very deep already. Yeah, we have actually touched and even gone beyond the 50% retracement that would have allowed us to look in a more direct fashion for continuation to higher prices. Although, clearly, this was not a sustained break and it can still succeed in forming here an extension of this wave C. It is towards the end of this area of support, and with another break below 50% retracement, it would be looking even worse, where a reset of the current bottom we have in an internal wave 4 in this area would be already a strong indication that this structure has failed in creating this next wave to the upside. So for now, ideally we see one more high within this as a wave C to the upside. Is it necessary? No, and I would already even be prepared for a top to be in place within this structure as a correction, and I would be looking for a larger A, B, C pattern to be taking us to lower prices, where I can even provide you an ideal target for such an expectation, and that would be the 100% extension of the wave A, which sits at $5. So even this, as a wave C, wouldn't be expected to take us to the white area of support, but a word of caution, nothing is stopping this movement, this follow-up extension we are looking for to be a wave 3, potentially building an impulse within a larger wave A to the downside that would suggest even further continuation to lower prices, maybe actually playing into the yellow scenario where we would be looking for a wave 1 to the downside instead, that would caution us to look for new all-time lows. So the bottom line is, if we are to consider the different possibilities in terms of counts, it can be considered to be more complicated, but if we focus on the relevant levels of support and of resistance, we can quite clearly determine that below $7.5 we would expect to break even below $5.7. And with a reset of this wave 4 in orange, while it is not ideal, we may still be able to look for a wave 5 still to form, but just as well we could be looking at the wave 2 in white to be taking us to the deeper area of support. And currently, I don't see a long position necessarily favorable on this chart. Yeah, we don't have any structure strongly indicating a high probability trade setup on this chart. Yeah, perhaps from an accumulation perspective from the larger time frame, the white support zone could be considered more interesting, but there is still substantial risk, and until we form an initial 5-wave move to the upside within a smaller time frame, it will be generally more difficult to identify a worthy trade setup. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. But other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.